This is the most torturous form of retaliation. The woman had a cigarette stuffed in her mouth, and as it was lit, a large amount of nicotine flooded directly into her brain, nearly choking her to death. After she passed out, the masked man pressed a megaphone to her ear and turned the volume up to maximum. Instantly, she lost control of her bladder and bowels. Her eardrums were ruptured and her brain seemed to turn to mush. However, the masked man wasn't done. He took out an electric rod and began to shock several people, making their whole bodies tremble. As the story began, the 6 bound men awoke from their stupor. They found themselves unable to move, their hands and feet bound, and their eyes and mouths covered with white cloth. Unable to assess their situation, they can only feel fear and keep struggling. At that moment, heavy footsteps echoed in the doorway. The masked man pulled an electric rod from his pocket and pressed it against the metal frame. The electric current passed through the metal, causing everyone to jerk involuntarily. The sensation was so intense that it was as if they could dig their toes into the entire apartment. Just as they were about to succumb, the masked man finally turned off the current. He removed each man's blindfold and declared that they had all done unforgivable harm to others. He tells them that the only way they can leave alive is to confess their sins. Suddenly, the room filled with a thick, sleepy air. The group didn't last 2 seconds before they passed out. When they woke up again, the white cloth over their mouths had been removed, but they found iron plates blocking their vision and chains locked tightly around their necks, making it impossible for them to assess their surroundings. From the sounds around them, they could tell that they were strangers to each other. But why had the killer tied them together? Grumpy Nick began to curse at the top of his lungs. Just then, the masked man walked into the room. He calmly crouched down in front of Nick, signaling him to be quiet, and then gently pressed an electric baton to his neck. He didn't hesitate to electrocute him, and the others suffered the same fate. At least the masked man wasn't completely irrational. He warned them that time was running out, fearing what he might do next. Disha rushes to admit that she had spit on her mother's food and has been tormented by guilt ever since. Sam admits that he had an affair during his marriage and that his wife knew nothing about it. Seeing that someone had spoken up, Jesse confessed his shame as well. He had used his looks to seduce rich married men. Amy, on the other hand, said she was a freeloader who lived off her parents, who now had no savings. However, this is not the way the masked man wants to confess. He once again shocked each of the men with an electric baton, causing their scalps to go numb and painful. Fortunately, the electric baton quickly ran out of power,